If you use dating apps like you're using your Instagram, you're doing it wrong. And you're ruining your chances at real connection. And science agrees. These dating apps are not created for you to find true love. They're meant to keep you coming back. That being said, it doesn't mean that you have to cut them off completely in order to find real connection. You just have to know how to use them right. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you. In the first chapter, I will tell you how to use dating apps the right way. In the second chapter, I will teach you how to make your interactions more meaningful through the app. And then finally, in the third chapter, I will give you some mindset shifts that will help you through it. How to use dating apps. Dating apps are not inherently bad. They are just created in a way that makes it difficult to create meaningful connections. Research shows that people who go on dating apps regularly are victim of having too much choice and too many people that they can interact with, and it actually causes more anxiety and lowers their self-esteem. It also reduces satisfaction with decisions. So psychologically, the fact that you have so much choice literally makes you less likely to be satisfied with the person you actually pick. And so it's an endless cycle of always coming back to find something better when you could have actually created something better with the person you initially had, but you didn't really put that much effort because your subconscious kept telling you that there's just so much more out there and that maybe this person really isn't worth it. Research has linked attachment orientation to the way people behave on dating apps. So basically, the way you use a dating app will determine and affect your attachment style. So whether you have an anxious attachment style or an avoidant attachment style, this will be affected by the way you behave on dating apps because it will reflect your inner insecurities in your behaviors. So let's say you really seek attention and you speak to multiple people at once, and then one day someone stops talking to you, and then the other day someone is more distant, and then you start feeling really insecure because you have an anxious attachment style. So you need people to constantly validate you. But the fact that you speak to so many people and that you're so overly stimulated, it makes it impossible to build an actual connection, and it makes your attachment style worse. And with an avoidant, it's the same issue because you're gonna start speaking to someone and then maybe they ask you if you want to go on a date, and then you close up and you start getting really distant because this intimacy, the fact that they want to actually see you, that will make you more vulnerable, and your subconscious starts to panic because it's not ready for that kind of commitment because you're already speaking to so many people and you feel a lot more secure by just keeping it virtual. So when they want to make it more concrete, that's when you close off. That's when you stop speaking to them because you have an avoidant attachment style. So these two issues, endless choices and reflection on attachment styles, are really a good point of encounter of the main issues that dating apps create and are the center of a lot of psychological research. So what can you actually do about this? Well, first of all, you can use dating apps intentionally. Because I understand that not everybody is a party person, me included. I'm not really that kind of person. I don't go out that much, especially not to clubs. And I understand that if you don't go out that much and are not that much of a social person in that sense, then maybe it's harder for you to meet people. And dating apps are a good compromise because maybe you want to spend your time doing other things that don't involve meeting new people. But you have to keep it intentional, so you don't fall into that loop of endless choices, low self-esteem, and destructive behaviors that affect your attachment style in a way that you don't want. And it actually is keeping you from achieving a secure attachment style. So in order to use dating apps intentionally, you must reduce mindless swiping. You cannot be swiping multiple hours a day. You need to keep it intentional. Keep the amount of people you speak to a minimum, and actually try to get to know them and build a connection with the few people you speak to at a time. Now, how to build meaningful connections through dating apps. Now, this is actually pretty tough because not everybody is looking for something serious. Not everybody is going to be really as involved and really give as much time as you are, and it might be disappointing, but you cannot let that discourage you. You need to believe that there are actually some great people out there. Not everybody is, but if you believe that everybody is disappointing, nobody wants something serious, nobody is aligned with me, then it's almost impossible to actually find someone with that mindset. Some research shows that people who have a compulsive use of dating apps are more likely to have emotional ups and downs that actually really affect their day-to-day life and their work and basically everything in their life, and leads to more sadness and lower self-esteem. So this cannot become a constant need to get attention. And it's hard for a lot of people. It's new and it's fun, and because it starts as a virtual connection, then it feels more easy. But in the end, it needs just as much curating and as much care as a relationship with someone you would meet in real life. Research shows that, unfortunately, a lot of relationships that were built from an online connection don't last as long as relationships that were built from physical connection and were built directly from an offline point of view, because the initial bonding cues were dampened and lessened. So something that helps you see if the person is right for you and if you're matching is a lot of physical cues that you cannot get from a virtual point of view. So that is why building a meaningful relationship in a way is much harder, even though in the beginning maybe it feels easier because you don't have the stress of rejection, you feel more safe, you're behind your screen, so you don't feel as anxious, as involved. So really your nervous system is completely on automation mode, which is also what is making it harder to create a meaningful connection, because you don't feel the need to be as involved emotionally, because you think, oh, there's so many other people out there, there's all these people texting me, so that's fine. So what I would advise would be to try to meet the person. So obviously try to get to know the person a little, test the waters as you text, but really don't wait too long to see the person. And I'm speaking from a woman's point of view. See if the man really wants to meet you. If he's keeping it casual, if he's not sure if he has time, if he says he's really busy, he doesn't really know what he wants, then for me, it's not worth my time. So I personally want something meaningful and something serious. So if I meet with someone and start speaking with someone who actually only wants something casual, who is not really involved, I'm not saying text me all day long, actually give time, ask meaningful questions, show interest. And that's really the kind of people you're gonna meet. If that's how you behave, at first it might feel really disappointing because it's rare to find. But the more you stay true to yourself and with your inner standards, the more likely you are to meet somebody with the same mindset. And also, if you don't want to meet up right away, you can try to call each other. That also lessens the barrier, the virtual barrier that exists through the dating app, but still be really careful. Obviously, let someone know where you are. Try to meet for a first date during the day. Try not to be isolated, but these are safety measures, but really be careful. Now on to mindset shifts. First of all, your dating rules change the outcome more than anything. So it's really all about how you see dating. It's so important to work on yourself, to heal your attachment style, but also to meet people. And it's something I've been struggling with because I've been doing a lot of work on myself, but I know that there are so many things that I cannot learn unless I actually go out with someone, try to meet somebody, because this is how you learn. It's not only by doing work on yourself, which is obviously the foundation, but you cannot hope to know everything on the first relationship. And you obviously need to learn from your past experiences. Constantly try to understand what went wrong and use it in order to grow. So there is a main mindset shift that I want you to adopt, because if used wrong, dating apps can make everything worse. So if you are really sensitive to anxiety and rejection, dating apps are going to be a source of comfort, because that way you get attention and the rejection hurts less than meeting someone. So the first mindset shift that you need is to stop caring about rejection. And that is one of the hardest things. So you cannot let yourself depend on dating apps for validation. You just can't do that. You need to train yourself to go outside and talk to people. Even if it doesn't mean anything, even if you don't ask for their number, just speak to someone, say hello, how are you? And especially in our age and time, it is very strange, and people are probably going to look at you weird because people don't communicate and interact as much as they used to, especially in public spaces with strangers. But that will boost your self-confidence so much and will actually help you fight off that low self-esteem that was ingrained in you through misuse of dating apps. And then you won't care about rejection because you barely know the person. If they reject you, okay, they weren't right for you. That's actually a gift, because it's one less person that you have to wonder about whether are they right for me or everything. No, they reject you right away. That's great. Now we can move on to someone who actually cares. And it's better than being led on and end up being disappointed at the end. Think of it that way. So really try to see the positive outcome. Another mindset shift is quality over quantity. Obviously, in order to build strong, meaningful relationships and bonds, you need to focus on quality. Really give into the relationships you have, really give energy, and obviously look out if the other person gives as much energy as you do, because you can't be the only one pouring into the relationship. It needs to go both ways. It's actually one of my goals slash resolution for this year. It's to really pour into my relationships, find more time to hang out with my friends, with my family. Another thing that dating apps does a lot, especially in the first interactions, it boosts your self-esteem and it doesn't boost your connection, and it doesn't create presence and positive energy. It just boosts your ego. And that is not what a connection is about. That is not what a relationship is about. So if you get a DM from someone telling you you're beautiful, and it's nice, but that's not how you build true connection. It's through speaking with each other, seeing each other, having deep conversations, listening to each other, listening and respecting each other's opinions. This is what connection is about. It's not just boosting your ego because people give you compliments that you should be giving yourself, by the way. Receiving compliments is always nice, and I really believe that it's a good thing if people give you compliments. But first of all, they shouldn't just be physical. I feel like that's kind of a red flag if the person you're with only gives you compliments about your looks. I feel like compliments about your mind, the way you think, the way you act, are a lot more valuable than compliments about your physical appearance. And finally, the last mindset shift, and I cannot stress this enough, prioritize reality over fantasy. Because in our day and age, virtuality is inherently part of our lives, but what using dating apps in the wrong way does, it's that it makes you emotionally involved really fast, especially if you talk to multiple people, especially with the external validation and everything. And then they just stop talking to you because they found someone better. And so your emotions are all tangled up and you don't really understand how you feel anymore. And it's harder for you to know how you feel about someone. And when someone great comes along, you're like, oh well, but I don't feel this hot and cold anymore, so I'm not interested, when they're actually stable and safe and secure. So that is why the right use is important. It's important to have caution in the way you relate to people, because it's really easy, especially when you have an ego boost, to get emotionally involved really fast. But that's something you need to look out for, and not get emotionally involved with whoever decides to text you. Be cautious. Give energy to the people you believe deserve it, and try to really build connections through communication and seeing the person, and seeing also how your body reacts to them, because that is one of the things you cannot know until you meet the person, while being careful, of course, always. So in order to really build mutual connection in our day and age, is really to be intentional and consistent in the way, first of all, that you relate to yourself, because that is the foundation, and then in the way that you answer to others, how you respond and how you act. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it really helps you, and I will see you in the next video.